I'm Ricky Rackman. Welcome back. Tonight is the night we honor global terminal diseases. And right now we go to Lisa Stone and Exhibit to present the award for the leading cause of death.
And the nominees are...
I don't know what the statistics are, but I mean, hundreds of people every year are infected with HIV.
More and more charges are being brought against people with HIV who infect or risk infecting others. That includes civil lawsuits based on failure to disclose and charges of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Again, that weapon, bodily fluid.
And I think people really have a misperception around people with HIV. Most people living with HIV wouldn't give this virus to their worst enemy. We live with it. We know how difficult it is to survive it, despite the advances in medical treatment. It's a very, very difficult disease to endure. And most people will go to extreme lengths to protect anyone that they're with. Most HIV positive people would not want to hurt people with this virus.
And many of the statutes are not well crafted. Some of them were crafted before a lot of the science came out. And the result is a lot of confusion.
Your mathematical odds of contracting HIV today are greater than they have ever been.
In those early years, when there was so much HIV going around, no one really thought in terms of victim versus perpetrator. It was assumed that everyone could have contracted this, and that everyone had to take equal responsibility for taking care of themselves.
So you fully disclose your status with every partner every time.
Justice Patrick Zilla came from a small Ontario town and worked the streets of the Big Smoke. Then he got himself off the streets and helped other young men stop hustling. Was released on bail Thursday after being charged with aggravated sexual assault for allegedly not telling a sexual partner he's been HIV positive since 2003. The man who filed the complaint with police has so far not shown signs he was exposed.
The AIDS and transform your warm blood and bones to dry flesh by stressing the immune system. Promiscuous men and women trying to avoid getting the microorganism in them from running up in the raw, ready and willing. A couple minutes of a good feeling.
And then I think the other part is empowering individuals and families and organizations to have enough information to really contribute and step up for themselves and the people they care about as well.
What were you thinking as you heard that it was going to be consecutive sentences and started hearing 5 years, 3 years, 2 years, in the end 49 years?
I knew those numbers were there because if you do the math, there are 15 counts, and I knew that in all likelihood the people who were not infected, those counts would give rise to somewhere between 2, 3, 4 years, and possibly 5 or 6 or more for the infected ones. So,
but there must be a bit of it.
But I knew that the totality principle would be applied. He has to apply it. It's a principle of sentencing. I knew that he would, and I think that he did it, and he gave a very lengthy, I believe, thoughtful judgment in all the circumstances of this matter, tried to reflect the concern that the community has, plus and not losing sight of the fact that he is sentencing a person who will serve his time and then be back in the community.
Unfortunately, it is not rare to hear the police have charged someone with sexual assault, but increasingly that charge is being used in a way that wasn't even heard of 10 years ago. Stephanie Matisse joins us now to explain. Stephanie?
Diana, those charges involve a young woman who police say is knowingly spreading HIV. She's not a prostitute or a predator, but police say she's a threat to the public. Her name is Robin Lee St. Clair, and police want to know who she's had sex with. St. Clair is charged with sexual assault.
We know from talking to other people during our investigation that she is active in varsity. And by that I mean sexually active.
They say the 26-year-old allegedly met a man at a bar in Toronto. He told police they had unprotected sex last weekend. He alleges she did not tell him she's HIV positive until the next day. Police say she's known she's had the virus since 2003.
It's a notice by public health, and that outlines her responsibilities to inform any sexual partners prior to having sex that she has to inform them of her HIV status.
Anyone with HIV is required by law to inform their partners before any sexual relationships that they have the virus. If they don't, they can be charged with sexual assault. And if it happens more than once, they can be charged with aggravated sexual assault. St. Clair appeared in court on Monday to formally face the charges. She was released on her own recognizance with very few restrictions. She has a curfew, but that's it. She was also investigated for similar allegations a couple of years ago in Hamilton. At that time, no charges were laid. Glenn Betteridge at the HIV/AIDS Legal Network says he's hearing more and more of this kind of allegation. He's critical of the police for publicizing them before the individuals are tried in court.
We know that people under our Canadian Charter have the right to privacy. And is that right lost when somebody is charged with an offense? Because we know at the same time under the Charter, the bedrock of our system is people are presumed innocent until proven guilty.
And one of the biggest problems we have around the world is that people continue to misperceive who is at risk for HIV. There's always risk. If you're having unprotected sex, no matter what, you are at risk for HIV in a lot of things.
Earlier this month, a similar case grabbed national media attention when Saskatchewan Rough Riders linebacker Travis Smith was charged with aggravated sexual assault. The football player is alleged to have had unprotected sex without telling his partners he is HIV positive.
That's what happened with Travis Smith, the former Saskatchewan Rough Riders linebacker. He was convicted of knowingly exposing 2 partners to HIV. He's in prison because of it.
So again, we're seeing in the media these exceptional cases, these fringe cases of people that are arguably fill in the blank, and then that's forming public opinion, and I think tainting the view of what HIV positive people are like. Most HIV positive people would not want to hurt people with this virus.
When do you ask someone's HIV status?
So in other scenarios we seem quite comfortable with this, and as I say, this exists in the HIV scenario. We just had this added layer of the potential of a complainant going to the police to actually lodge a criminal complaint, but you don't have to. If you wanted to, you could actually deal with this whole issue through public health.
Everybody has to take individual responsibility for that, and everybody who's ever had unprotected sex has the obligation to go out and get tested so that they're not spreading HIV unwillingly or unknowingly to other people.
We are still looking at a fairly sizable proportion of people who seroconvert every year.
And when we're able to take a look at the real numbers and see, actually, this disease crosses almost every ward in our city, and almost every age group, and almost every race and gender group, that's really, I think, where hopefully a lot of folks are able to wake up and say, wow, this is not everybody else's disease, it's my disease too, so how do we take control of it?
Good luck with that, and thank you for your time today.
Thanks so much.
Thank you very much for spending time with us.